Hello, it's George from Ireland here. So today I'm going to speak to you about why Donald J. Trump is by far the worst US presidential candidate in my lifetime. It's the 14th of October 2016 today, so 4 weeks, just under, until polling day. Trump is behind, roughly 8 percentage points, falling further behind. And what's going to happen? Now, Hillary's going to play it safe because if things carry on like this, she'll win comfortably. Trump does not have caution as his watchword. If anything, he's going to become even wilder. He is not totally stupid and presumably recognizes he can't let things carry on this way. Some last desperate roll of the dice might swing it for him, so that's what he's going to try, some audacious gambit. It'll probably make things even worse for him, but I sense he's the kind of person who'd prefer to go down in flames than to lose being prudent. So expect more erratic behavior, more outbursts as he grows ever more volatile. So reasons why Trump is so foul. Well, we could look at the sexual assault thing. Now, he deserves this presumption of innocence as anyone else does, a bit less credible, given that he was recorded saying he was entitled to do exactly that, and very strongly hinting that he had done it. This is not touching a woman's thigh without her permission, it's touching her genitals, believing she did not want that at all, saying he was allowed to do it, get away with it. In his denial, look at where he blinks exactly after crucial words like lies, fiction, things like that. Absolutely false. These are tells of lying. He claims logic and sense are on his side. Logic and sense are two things for which he's not noted. We'll go on to a second reason about why he's so dreadful. He became commander-in-chief of the military, and the US military is trying to stamp out sexual assault. Obviously, most servicemen are completely innocent of that. But what sort of example does it set for US servicemen if their commander-in-chief is a sort of person who has said that someone like him is absolutely entitled to commit this crime and will have impunity for it? It's going to make this sort of offence more likely to occur. Number three, there must be something very wrong with him when so many Republicans have abandoned him. These are not lily-livered liberals. They put up with some quite dreadful things from their colleagues previously. It's unprecedented for so many members of the Grand Old Party to denounce their own candidate. National security figures have said he would be a disaster for America's security and image abroad. The UN Human Rights Commissioner felt impelled to denounce Trump because Trump said he'd do worse than waterboarding. He was going to bring in outright torture. He was going to order the deliberate targeting of civilians, commanding the military to kill civilians, knowing them to be civilians, which is every bit as bad as ISIS. Worse, really, given that the US has the technology to try and minimize civilian casualties, and Trump wanted to maximize them. Number four, he's a proven liar, going on about this Obama birther nonsense years after there was documentary proof that Obama was born in the United States. I know Hillary's also mendacious, but this video is not about her. I might do another one about Hillary Clinton later. He claimed he was against military action in Iraq and Afghanistan. He was for them. The fact checkers have demonstrated just how mendacious he is. And he shrugs it off, shamelessly, not remotely embarrassed to be caught out telling fibs. Number five, his total lack of judgment. That's with all these ill-judged flights of rhetoric, these outbursts, swearing at political rallies, bizarrely doesn't put off the Christian fundamentalists. He thinks the Clintons are so terrible. Why did he donate to the Clinton Foundation then? It was injudicious of the Clintons to accept his money, perhaps. On the other hand, in the old days, Trump was not known for these loathsome opinions. Right, number six, he's temperamentally unsuitable. He always sees himself as a victim. He never takes responsibility. As Truman said, the buck stops here. That's what presidents have got to do, not always blaming everyone else for all his terrible mistakes. He says the establishment against him. He's the son of WASP millionaire parents. He's a billionaire. How could he possibly not be part of the establishment? Number seven, he is the best recruiting sergeant for ISIS. His hysterical anti-Muslim remarks have been used by ISIS in their recruitment videos, and he supports ISIS on the main point, saying that America and Islam are inimical to each other. They're not. They're several million American Muslims. Muslims in the United States have been murdered for their faith, at least 2 occasions this year. One time 3 men were shot dead in Indiana. Sikhs are sometimes misidentified as Muslims and murdered in the United States. His rhetoric indirectly incites this sort of crime. Never mind the children are bullied at school, the ordinary Muslims who are subjected to hate mail, job discrimination and so on, harassment, graffiti and so forth. Number 8, he's staggeringly ignorant. He seems to lack an even basic knowledge of the Constitution, that it's wrong to discriminate against people on the grounds of their religion. He doesn't comprehend the separation of powers. He seems to think he'd have absolute power, that the legislative, judicial and executive functions are separate is something that escapes him. As he made clear in his debate against Hillary Clinton, he believed he could use criminal justice as an instrument of private vengeance because you'd be in jail, was his aside. So number 9, he's a flip-flopper. He contradicts himself on so many key policy issues. He was pro-choice. Now he goes further than most of the pro-life people, saying that a woman who has an abortion should be punished. Previously, pro-lifers said physicians who performed terminations should be sent to prison if termination was outlawed. On expelling illegal immigrants, now he said he'd only expel criminals. Previously, he suggested all of them, no matter how many decades lived in the USA blamelessly, they would be all kicked out. Muslim immigration, he wasn't going to allow any Muslims in, and now he says, well, he will. There'll just be extreme vetting. On Iraq and Afghanistan, as I said before, he said he shouldn't have gone into Iraq, now he wants to go back in, so it seems. On NATO, the USA should pull out of NATO, he suggested. He would say that Crimea is Russian territory, then he said he wouldn't. And then there's that birther issue. He went on about that for years after it was a proven falsehood, and then wasn't man enough to make the apology himself and tried to blame Hillary Clinton from it, saying it emanated from her campaign. Well, I've never known her to say anything about it, or any of her staffers, whereas he most certainly did say it on many occasions, and it was a dog whistle to some white supremacists who wouldn't accept Obama because he's half black, or wouldn't accept him because his father was a Muslim. Even if Obama had been born outside the United States, he was born to an American mother. That makes him American. Chester A. Arthur was born in Canada to American parents, so he was still American. Teddy Roosevelt was born on a yacht off the coast, but American parents, he's still American. So my prediction is that Trump will lose by only 8 percentage points. Hillary might pull a little bit further ahead, and I suspect will slip back again slightly just before polling day. Most people have made up their minds. The wild card is the Libertarians, currently on 7%. The last minute, some of them might go for Trump because they so detest Hillary Clinton and want to keep her out. But it's a fascinating election, although the result is not very much in doubt. That's another thing. Him going around saying the election is rigged. If it's rigged, why are you standing? Why legitimize it if the whole thing has been decided in advance? Of course, if he were to win, then it wouldn't be rigged, according to Donald J. Trump. Neutral people he always attacks when they insist that certain rules be upheld. Just as he went for Megyn Kelly, savaged her for doing her duty as a journalist and asking a candidate some worthwhile questions. So we shall see.